Welcome to Profit and Prosper, a podcast that will empower you to become financially independent as an entrepreneur. I'm your host, Sarah Young, an entrepreneur, wealth coach, and mentor to driven, ambitious female business owners who are ready to take action towards having a richer and more impactful life. I'm here to push you to think bigger about what's possible for your business and life, and I believe that your business is the best way to have more time and financial freedom. Just 10 years ago, I was $55,000 in debt and leaving a traumatic marriage as a 20-something. Fast forward to today, I now run a 7-figure agency with a team of 10 and growing, and have built over $1 million in net worth while balancing taking care of my health and prioritizing being a wife and mom. In this podcast, I will teach you how to scale your business, take home a 6-figure paycheck, and save and invest for your financial future without having to sacrifice your life today. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the podcast. This episode is going to be the last new episode of 2023. I can't even believe that we're at the end of the year already. The next 3 weeks are going to be a countdown of the top 3 episodes of 2023, really of all time on the podcast so far. So definitely tune back in and listen to those episodes if you did not catch them the first time around. But for this episode, what we're going to do is talk about planning. I know that this is the time of year when there's a lot of noise out there about planning processes and 2024 goal setting and all of that. And so what I'm going to do is hopefully help you cut through some of the noise by talking through my quarterly planning process. And yes, I said quarterly because I really don't do annual goals, and I'll talk about why in a second. But I actually did a version of this episode. If you go back to episode 43, it was about a year ago that it came out, and I talked about, your next year's 2023 money moves in that episode. And that episode was actually one of the most downloaded episodes of the year for a good while until the top 3 episodes came out. So I wanted to update it because that episode I did last year was more heavily focused on finances, because if you've been around for a while, you know that for a while I had my CFO hat on, which is fine. But earlier in 2023, I decided that I didn't only have to wear the CFO hat. And so since then, I've been talking more about entrepreneurship and business and investing. So I want to do an update of that episode with this version for you to plan out your 2024 business and money moves. And we're going to talk about things beyond just financial goals. We're going to talk about, your vision and business goals. There is a PDF guide that goes along with this episode that you can go download at sarahhyoung.com/plan. And that guide will go along with this episode. So I recommend you listen to this episode and then take some time over the next few weeks before 2024 is officially here to sit down and do your plan and plan out your 2024 money moves. Before we jump into my planning process, I want to explain why I don't do annual goals. So I do not do New Year's resolutions. I really don't do annual goals. And I know that that's weird because a lot of people really love the annual goal setting. People tend to get really excited about turning over a new leaf in a new year and doing all that stuff. And honestly, I just don't find that New Year's resolutions or even 12-month goals are all that meaningful. The reason is I think that making a goal for 12 months from now, in my experience, gives me way too much time to change my priorities. So what I mean is, if you're sitting here in December 2023 thinking about where you want to be in December 2024, you and I just have no idea what life is going to be like, what's going to happen in your business, how your priorities might change. Things are just going to be so different, and you just don't know what's going to happen in 12 months because it's such a long time from now, honestly. And so for me, I think that I can set 12-month goals, but I just don't find them to be that useful for that reason, because there's too much time for priorities to change. And it's not that I'm failing if I don't hit those goals. That's just life. It's just a fact of life. The second reason I don't set annual goals, and what I do instead is focus on my big picture vision, is for me, the timeline is really irrelevant. And that has been one of the hardest things for me to learn, is that it does not matter the time frame that I hit my goals in, as long as I hit them at some point, as long as I'm constantly working to improve and make progress and enjoying my life along the way. As long as those things are true, I don't really care, how long it takes me to hit a certain revenue goal or to hit a certain health goal, money goal, whatever it is. The timeline is irrelevant. And I find that when you become super attached to the timeline, you can lose sight of why you're really aiming for your goals in the first place. And so for me, that's another reason I just don't really set like, okay, in 2024, I want to do this thing, this number of times. I want to do this many workout classes. I want to do this much in revenue, like whatever it is. I just don't really find that to be super relevant. As long as you're enjoying your life now, as long as you're putting the pieces in place to have time and financial freedom and working towards that, and you're constantly working to improve your situation and yourself, then to me, the timeline becomes irrelevant. So here's what I do instead. Instead of annual goal setting and New Year's resolutions, I do a quarterly planning process. And this is something that I have refined in the 5 years that I've been running a business. And I've gotten better and better about making a plan that I can actually execute on and making a plan that is reasonable and not cramming too much into the time that I have. And this is how I have made the progress that I've made in my business with my wealth building, because I'm good at setting these plans and then constantly making progress toward my goals. So, this quarterly process is a process that we go through inside my signature program, my Scaling Made Simple program. This program is my high touch program for business owners who they find themselves at a wall and they're ready to scale their business, hire a team, make more money, put more money in their pockets. This is a process that we do in there inside. Every single quarter, we're doing a quarterly planning session that honestly takes hours. It takes us maybe like 3 hours to go through and do all of it, because there is a lot involved in doing this plan. And so in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps that I go through to do this quarterly planning process. I'm going to keep it very condensed because there's just no way for me to fit the whole process into one podcast episode. I will say, though, that our Q1 2024 planning call is scheduled for December 15th. I know that there are some of you who I've talked to who have wanted to join and you haven't for one reason or another. So I'm going to tell you this is a really great time to join, because we're going to jump in and get your planning done and get you set up for success in Q1. So if you want to go check that out, we take just a handful of new clients every month because it is pretty high touch for me. I can only manage a handful of new people to give them the attention that they deserve. So go and apply at sarahhyoung.com/scale. All right, so here are the 4 steps that I go through in order to create my quarterly plan. High level, we're going to do vision setting, visualizing like your long-term vision. We're going to review the last year, the last quarter. We're going to set your goals, and then we're going to calendar it out. So the first thing that I do, and this to me replaces my annual goals and New Year's resolutions, the first thing that I do is I think through my vision. I revisit the vision that I have for my life. I ask myself, who is the person I want to be? What are the activities that I want to do on a daily basis? Who do I want to be around? How do I want my life to look and feel and smell? That's a weird one to throw in there, Sarah. How do I want my home to smell like an amazing candle all the time? Anyways, currently it smells like a 3-year-old boy. But who do I want to be? What are the activities I want to do? What are the accomplishments that I want to have? What's the impact that I want to have on the world? I revisit those every single quarter and I write them down every single quarter. And sometimes the vision changes quarter to quarter, but overall, I would say it doesn't change drastically. Like the things that I want are the things that I've wanted for the last several years. So I go through and in detail, write down that vision specifically about the things that I want for my life. And that replaces my annual goals. And so instead of saying like, I'm going to have this whole vision in a year, I'm saying, this is my sort of guiding light, my North Star. I'm constantly asking myself every quarter, every month, every week, even, how can I take the next step toward achieving this vision? So we go through and do that in detail. And then ask yourself, out of those things that you wrote down for your vision, There's stuff you're already doing. You maybe don't even realize it, but you're already doing some of the things that you said you want in your vision. So asking yourself, what are the things I'm already doing? How can I do more of those? Express gratitude for having those things in your life already, because that's amazing that you already have that. The other important question is, out of that list, what are the things that would catalyze the rest? What are the things that if you could do that one thing, it would unblock the other areas of your vision? For me, I find that the catalyzer tends to be my use of time. I have to be very careful with my use of time because I have a lot of things going on, like most successful business owners do, like most wealthy people do. We have different priorities, we have different things going on. And so I have to make sure that I'm cognizant of my use of time. And if there are things taking up too much time that I don't need to be spending time on, those are the things that typically catalyze my other goals. Because if I don't have time, I'm definitely not going to have time to achieve those other goals. That's part one is on vision. So again, go grab the guide that goes through this. I'm giving you space to answer these questions in the guide at sarahhyoung.com/plan. All right, step two, after you set your vision, is to review. Now, we're doing this quarterly inside my program and for me personally, and so I'm looking back at the goals that I wrote a quarter prior to this. You might not have quarterly goals. Maybe look back at the goals that you set for 2023. I want you to look back and see, what did I write down? Did I accomplish these goals? What progress did I make? What worked? What didn't work? Why did I accomplish this goal? Why did I not? What got in the way? And going through that whole process of reviewing how things worked and what things got in the way, you can answer the question of, what will you start doing? What things can you stop doing? What things can you continue to do that worked well? And what things need to be changed? So you have to review the last year or the last quarter, right? Review. And honestly, this can go for both business and personal goals. Like, ask yourself, if you have personal goals, hopefully you do outside of your business, if you achieve them or not, what kept you from achieving them? Why were you successful here and not in another area? Because that gives you the insight into how to be better at executing on your plan going forward. So step two of the planning process is a review. And so we're just looking at big picture goals, financial goals. Did you achieve them? Did you not? Step three, after you do the review, is to actually set the goals. So in my quarterly planning process, I'm a numbers gal, I'm a money gal. So we do set money goals. The primary money goals that I want you to know are your pay goal and your revenue target. So we're setting money goals for the upcoming quarter. I want to know, what's your pay goal? How much money do you need to pay the bills? That's how much we need to have your business generate. How much money do you want to put into savings and investments to build wealth? These need to be like your pay and savings and investment goals is money goal number one. Money goal number two is, I want to know how much revenue you need to have coming in your business to make all that work. So if you go back to episode 15 of the podcast, I actually walked you through my process for setting a revenue goal. So I won't go into detail on that here, but high level, all you're going to do is figure out, okay, my pay, savings, investments, add a buffer for taxes, add on your business expenses, business investments you might have. What is the total outflow? That's how much revenue you need to have coming in. You need to have enough coming in to cover all the outflows. All right. That's how we set your revenue target. But go check out episode 15 for a much, much deeper dive into how that works. So I want to know what your revenue target is, because it is crucial as a CEO of your business to do sales planning. I talked about sales planning in some of the savings series. I believe it was episode 88. I talked about the importance of sales planning for your business so that you can project when you're going to have a sales gap, when you need to fill your pipeline. And so from that revenue target, what you can do is then ask yourself, okay, what do I have on the docket for Q1 already? Or what sales just reliably come in if you have, for example, a brick and mortar service business? How many sales do you have pretty reliably coming in without doing any extra marketing work? And then you ask yourself, how does that compare to the target? And then what's my gap? And you as a CEO, if you can identify the gap, then you can go do activities to close the gap, okay? This is how we set money goals, high level. So we have our money goals, and then you have to set business goals and life goals. When we think about business goals, what we're going to do is look back at that vision that you wrote down for your business. What are the 3 to 5 things that are the most crucial things for hitting your overall goals, for reaching your vision? They're probably going to land somewhere in the area of team, marketing and sales goals, maybe systems, operations, client care. And I'd also say that your time management, and that could also include training the team. Those are the things that are probably going to come up the most frequently in terms of what your goals are that you need to make your business goals happen, make your business vision happen. Sometimes, honestly, what I do here is I will brain dump every single thing that I want to do, like start to finish. So I'll have my revenue target, I'll have my pay target, I'll know what my sales gap is, and I'll sort of brain dump, okay, here's all the things I want to do to generate more leads. Here's the things I want to do to develop my marketing collateral. And here's my sales goals. Here's my team that I need. Here's the systems that we need to improve. I will literally just brain dump everything that I need and then understand you're never going to get everything done in the next quarter. It's just not going to happen. So prioritizing from that list, the top 3 to 5 things that need to happen first. So we're going to set your business goals by prioritizing those. But I don't want you to forget, y'all, personal goals. Personal goals are also important because you as a CEO, if your cup is not full, then your business is going to not go as far as it could go. And so we need to also look at your personal goals. This could be developing your leadership or business skills. It could be working on your mindset. It could be your health, your relationships. Like, where are the areas in your life that you could fill your cup better to show up as a better business leader? Those also need to be included in your goals that you brained up. I typically will set, if I'm thinking about the next quarter, 3 to 5 business priorities, and then maybe like 3 more personal priorities. Beyond that, so that would be like 6 to 8 goals. Beyond that, I find I'm not going to be able to make progress on all of those. And even like having 8 total goals, it can be a lot, okay? A lot of things to prioritize. So even within all of your priorities, you want to say like, what is the number one most important thing so that you know that's where you can focus more time. So the goals process is brain dumping all of my goals, prioritizing the top 3 to 5 things for my business, and then the top couple of things for my personal life that need to happen to help me reach my long-term vision. So again, every quarter, I'm asking myself, what are the next 3 to 5 steps that I need to take to make this vision a reality? And those are my goals. The last piece is to calendar it out. And so I post this on Instagram every quarter, and I always get questions about it because what I do is I will literally get big wall calendars. They hang in my office. And after I have my goals, I'll map out every step that I need to reach the goal. And then I will put that on the wall calendar on Post-it notes. And then that helps me to visualize what I can reasonably fit in to the upcoming quarter. Because the reality is, and this happens every time in Scaling Made Simple, every time we do the quarterly planning process, is like somebody, I can see them visually getting frustrated because this may be the first couple of times they've done the process and they're trying to overcram their calendar and they're just like, I'm not ever going to get everything done. And the answer is no, you're not going to have time to do all the things you want to do because there's just oftentimes too much. And that's why calendaring it out is really important because it'll force you to really hone in on what are the most important things that need to happen in this next quarter. And if you can execute on those handful of things, rather than trying to scattershot and hit all of your goals all the time, just focus in on the most important areas. By the end of that quarter, you will have made real progress. You'll have taken the next couple of steps toward your long-term vision, and then you can come back to the next quarterly plan and take the next couple of steps. So calendaring out is really important. And here's where I'm going to say, like, sometimes people mess this up. And I used to do this too. It took me probably a couple of years, legit, of doing this process every quarter to get it down. You cannot overschedule yourself. And so as you calendar things out, you have to make sure that you plan in time for you to have time off. You have to plan in time for client meetings. Like on the days that I have client meetings, y'all, I really cannot do much else. I cannot do projects because I put so much energy into my client meetings. It zaps all my energy. So when I'm done, I just don't have a lot left to do any like brain work. Okay. So you have to have time for client meetings. If you have a team, you need to have time for team meetings and team management and reviewing and training every single week. You need to have time on your calendar every single week for marketing, because if you do not consistently market your business, you will not have a sales pipeline full. So after you put in time off, client meetings, team management, and marketing, that does not leave you a ton of extra time during the week. I mean, assuming you're like me and you don't want to work 40 hours a week, that doesn't necessarily leave you with a ton of time to do projects. Now, you will have some time, absolutely, but not all of the time in the world to do all the things on your priority list. That is why we have to focus on just the handful of things that are the most important, because that is what, if you focus that extra time on, that is how you move forward. So step 4 is calendar it out, but we have to be reasonable, and this takes a lot of work. Honestly, this is more of a mindset skill than you even realize it is. The mindset of not overscheduling yourself, of not trying to be a perfectionist, of not trying to overwork yourself. Because what happens, honestly, is you'll overschedule your quarter and you'll think, oh, it'll just be this quarter. And after this quarter, I'm going to be done and I'll be able to work less hours and everything will be beautiful, right? But then what happens is you have that habit of just overworking and you keep doing it over and over again. Okay, so it is definitely a mindset skill on top of just the tactical stuff of like how to fit everything in your calendar. So that is the very condensed version of my quarterly planning process. So just to recap, we're going to revisit your long-term vision. That may or may not be the same as annual goals, but this is what you are constantly working toward over the course of your life, okay? Revisiting your vision, reviewing the previous quarter or the previous year to inform the next steps that you're taking going forward. We are planning out your money, business, and life goals and prioritizing them according to the things that are the most crucial to having you reach your vision in the next quarter. And then we're calendaring it out to make sure that it actually fits into the space of a quarter. Like I said, we do this every quarter inside Scaling Made Simple. So the next quarterly planning process we're having is on the calendar for Friday, December 15th. So if you would like to join us, this is a great time to join us. You can hop right into the quarterly planning process. Go to sarahyoung.com/scale, fill out the application. It takes all of 3 minutes to do. And then you and I will have a chat about whether this is the right program for you so you can get in before the quarterly planning retreat that we do. Okay. So that's it for this episode. And that's it for 2023 new content. That's crazy to say. So come back next week. We're going to be doing the countdown of the top 3 episodes of the year. I hope everyone enjoys their holidays. Come and send me a DM on Instagram. I will still be there, as always, in social media land, even if the podcast doesn't have new episodes coming out. And that's a wrap on 2023. So I'll see you back in 2024. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Listening and learning is great, but implementing what you learned is even better. So what's one thing you can do this week to make more money in your business, save for your financial future, and start living your most prosperous life? If you found this episode helpful, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share with a friend because it helps me reach more amazing female entrepreneurs like yourself. See you in next week's episode.